What would happen if the sun simply refused to rise? This is the story of the day the sun chose to hide. Long before emperors traced their lineage to the heavens, before temples rose in cedar and stone, there existed a realm above the clouds where light was not merely illumination, but law. In Takamagahara, the high plane of heaven, the gods walked upon bridges of mist and dwelled in halls that shimmered like dawn. At the center of that celestial kingdom reigned Amaterasu, the sun goddess, whose radiance sustained both heaven and earth. Her light was steady and warm, neither harsh nor distant. It touched the oceans and rice fields alike, coaxing life from soil and guiding mortals through the rhythm of seasons. Under her watch, the world knew balance. The days unfolded in gentle certainty. The nights arrived without fear, and harmony, delicate yet enduring, flowed between the realms of gods and men. Yet even in the realm of light, unrest can take root. Amaterasu's brother Susanoo was born of a different temperament. He was the god of storms and seas, of crashing waves and restless winds. Where she was measured, he was volatile. Where she nurtured growth, he reveled in force. For a time, the two existed in uneasy coexistence, their domains separated by purpose. But Susanoo's heart was heavy with resentment. He felt overshadowed by her brilliance, diminished beneath her constancy, and resentment, left untended, grows loud. When he ascended to the heavenly realm, it was not with humility, but with defiance. His arrival shook the skies. Winds tore through sacred fields. Crops carefully tended by divine hands were trampled. Laughter echoed where reverence once stood. Amaterasu, seeking peace, proposed a ritual to prove his sincerity, a sacred act of creation meant to restore trust between them. But pride does not yield easily. Susanoo's chaos deepened. In a final act of cruelty, he hurled the carcass of a flayed horse into the sacred weaving hall where Amaterasu and her attendants labored over celestial garments. The violence of the gesture shattered more than wood and silk. It shattered trust. It pierced something quiet and sacred within the sun goddess herself. Without anger, without proclamation, Amaterasu turned away from the heaven she ruled. Alone, she walked to the mouth of a cavern known as Ama-no-Iwato. Its entrance yawned like the edge of the unknown, ancient and unmoving. There, without ceremony, she stepped inside. With divine strength, she sealed the cave with a massive stone, shutting herself away from gods and mortals alike. In that instant, the world changed. Darkness fell not as twilight, but as absence. The sun vanished from the sky. Cold crept across the land. Rice withered in the fields. Shadows thickened, and within them, malevolent spirits stirred. Without her light, balance unraveled. The gods gathered in growing fear. Their once bright realm dimmed to a hollow gray. For the first time since creation, heaven felt fragile. They had not lost the sun to destruction. They had lost it to despair. Among the assembled deities stood Ame-no-Uzume, whose spirit was unlike the others. Where they trembled, she observed. Where they mourned, she considered. And slowly, a daring thought took shape. If sorrow had driven the sun into hiding, perhaps something unexpected could draw her back. Before the sealed cavern, beneath a sky devoid of light, Uzume overturned a wooden tub and began to dance. Her movements were wild, almost irreverent. She stamped her feet, tossed back her head, and laughed into the darkness. The other gods, startled at first, began to join her. Laughter spread in ripples. It rose louder and louder, echoing against the stone that concealed the sun. Inside the cavern, Amaterasu heard them. Confusion stirred within her wounded heart. How could there be joy in a world without light? Curiosity, subtle but persistent, drew her toward the entrance. Slowly, cautiously, she shifted the stone aside just enough to peer beyond it. Waiting outside, was a sacred mirror. In its polished surface, she saw a figure radiant beyond memory, luminous, powerful, alive. For a breathless moment, she did not recognize herself. She saw only light, undiminished, unwavering, and in seeing that reflection, she remembered who she was. The gods seized the moment. The stone was pulled away. Light burst forth from the cavern like a returning tide. Warmth flooded the heavens. Shadows dissolved across the earth. The fields brightened. The spirits retreated. Life exhaled in relief. Susanoo was banished from the heavenly realm, cast down to wander the earth and confront the consequences of his storm-bound heart. But the greater transformation had already taken place. Amaterasu did not emerge unchanged. She returned not merely as the sun that lights the sky, but as a reminder that even divine brilliance can falter when wounded. And so the story endured, carried through generations, whispered in shrines and told beneath lantern glow. It spoke of fragility within strength, of the cost of pride, of the truth that even the brightest light may withdraw when harmed. Yet it also carried hope. That darkness, no matter how absolute it seems, is never permanent when there remains even a spark of recognition. For the sun does not vanish forever. Sometimes it waits to be reminded that it still shines.